The emergency lights pulsed red across the vast chamber of the Galactic Council. 300 species had gathered in haste, something that had not happened in over 1,000 years. The air hummed with nervous energy as translators worked overtime, converting hundreds of languages into coherent meaning. Ambassador Vrel stood at the central podium. He was a Zentari, tall and thin with 4 eyes that blinked in careful sequence. His skin shimmered blue under the chamber lights. He had called this meeting, and now every eye, sensor and optical organ focused on him. Distinguished members of the council, Vrel began, his voice steady despite his inner turmoil. We have detected a new species. They have achieved faster-than-light travel. They call themselves humans. A ripple of excitement moved through the assembly. New species were rare and precious. The galaxy had been mapped for millennia, and finding newcomers was always cause for celebration. But Vrel's tone carried no joy, and the experienced council members noticed. They come from a planet they call Earth, Vrel continued, activating the holographic display above the podium. A blue and green world appeared, rotating slowly. It looked beautiful, peaceful even. Our xenobiologists have classified it as a Class 12 death world. The chamber fell silent. Class 12 was the highest danger rating. Only a handful of known worlds carried such classification. Council member Thriss, a peaceful creature resembling a mass of tentacles, raised an appendage. Surely there must be an error? They appear to have developed advanced technology. Death world species rarely progress beyond primitive stages. Vrel's expression darkened. There is no error. Their world has extreme gravity, nearly twice what most of us consider comfortable. Their weather systems are violent and unpredictable. Their tectonic plates shift constantly, causing massive earthquakes. Their oceans have crushing depths filled with predators. Even their atmosphere occasionally spawns devastating wind storms they call hurricanes and tornadoes. The hologram shifted, showing images of Earth's natural disasters. Council members watched in horror as waves destroyed coastlines, winds flattened cities, and ground split open during earthquakes. How did they survive? Asked Representative Quinn of the Harmonious Reaches, her voice barely a whisper. They adapted, Vrel said. But not in the way we hoped. The hologram changed again, this time showing human history. Battlefields stretched across continents. Weapons of increasing sophistication appeared through the ages. Cities burned. Armies clashed. The images were relentless and brutal. They fought, Vrel said quietly. Constantly. For their entire recorded history. They have had thousands of wars. Millions have died in conflicts. Even now, as they reach for the stars, they maintain massive militaries. They have weapons that could destroy their own planet multiple times over. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. The Galactic Council had not seen true warfare in 10,000 years. Most species had evolved past such primitive violence. Those few aggressive species that had emerged were either quarantined to their home systems or had destroyed themselves before achieving space travel. Elder Merrick slowly rose from his seat. He was ancient even by galactic standards. His species lived for centuries, and Merrick had seen the Council through many challenges. His weathered face showed deep concern. What do our analysts predict? Merrick asked. Vrel hesitated. They are divided. Some believe humans will self-destruct within a generation. Others believe they will become a threat to galactic peace. A small minority thinks they may simply be different. Different how? Merrick pressed. They have shown remarkable capacity for cooperation when facing external threats. Despite their conflicts, they have also created art, music, literature. They explore for the sake of knowledge. They help each other in disasters. They are contradictions, capable of great violence and great compassion. Representative Quinn spoke again. I propose we quarantine their system. Build monitoring stations. Wait and observe. If they prove peaceful, we can make contact in a few centuries. Several council members voiced agreement. It was the safe choice, the cautious path. But Elder Merrick shook his head slowly. For 10,000 years, we have extended welcome to every new species we encountered. We have always chosen trust over fear. We have always believed in the possibility of change and growth. If we abandon that principle now, what does that say about us? The chamber grew quiet as members considered his words. I propose we follow our traditions, Merrick continued. Send a delegation. Explain our ways. Show them the benefits of galactic cooperation. Give them the choice to join us in peace. If they refuse or prove hostile, then we can take other measures. But let us not condemn them without giving them a chance. The debate lasted for hours. Finally, a vote was called. By a narrow margin, Merrick's proposal passed. A message was carefully crafted and transmitted toward Earth using the standard greeting protocols. It was simple and direct. Welcome to the galactic community. We are peaceful. We have maintained harmony for millennia through cooperation and mutual respect. We have rules that all members follow. Please consider joining us. We hope you seek peace as we do. 3 weeks passed with agonizing slowness. Then Earth's response arrived. The Council gathered again to hear the message. A human voice, translated into Galactic Standard, spoke. We have received your message with great joy. We have long wondered if we were alone in the universe. We accept your invitation. We seek peace among the stars. We will honor your rules and join your community. Relief flooded through the council chamber. Perhaps these humans would surprise them after all. Perhaps their violent past would remain just that, past. Ambassador Vrel allowed himself a small smile as he prepared the formal invitation documents. Maybe the optimists were right. Maybe humanity would adapt to civilized galactic society. Only time would tell if that hope was justified. The human vessel Endeavour docked at Council Station Harmony 6 weeks after first contact. Ambassador Vrel waited at the airlock with a diplomatic escort, curious and cautious in equal measure. When the doors opened, he got his first look at humanity in person. Ambassador James Mitchell stepped through first. He was tall by galactic standards, with dark hair graying at the temples and sharp blue eyes that seemed to absorb everything at once. He wore a simple dark suit with a small flag patch on his shoulder. Behind him came Captain Rebecca Foster, military but relaxed, and Dr. Thomas Wright, their xenobiologist. Ambassador Vrel, James said warmly, extending his hand in the human gesture of greeting he had learned from the cultural files. Thank you for welcoming us. Vrel carefully grasped the hand, noting the firm grip. Strong but controlled. Welcome to Harmony Station, Ambassador Mitchell. We are pleased you have come. The first meetings went better than anyone expected. The humans were polite, asked thoughtful questions, and seemed genuinely excited about joining the galactic community. They signed the preliminary peace treaties without hesitation. They agreed to all standard trade regulations. They accepted the Council's dispute resolution framework. Within a month, preliminary trade agreements were established. Human art and music fascinated several species. Human coffee became unexpectedly popular in certain sectors. Everything seemed perfect. Then the cultural assessment reports began arriving. Vrel read the first report in his quarters late one night. It came from cultural analyst Prin, who had been observing human entertainment broadcasts. Concerning patterns detected, the report began. Human entertainment media frequently depicts warfare, combat, and conflict. Popular films show military operations, space battles, and planetary invasions. Their most watched sporting event involves teams attempting to carry an oval ball across a field while physically tackling opponents to the ground. Another popular sport involves two individuals punching each other repeatedly until one cannot continue. Vrel felt his concern growing. He read on. Humans practice recreational combat systems they call martial arts. Millions study these techniques despite living in peaceful societies. When asked why, they respond that it is for fitness, discipline, and self-improvement. The connection between learning to fight and self-improvement is unclear. More reports followed over the next weeks. Each one added to Vrel's unease. Analyst Kresh reported on human games. Children play with toy weapons. They simulate battles and create elaborate scenarios of conflict. Adults play complex strategic games involving warfare, resource management, and territorial conquest. These games are considered normal entertainment. Analyst Miri discovered something even more troubling. Human vessels contain what they call contingency protocols. These are detailed plans for various emergency scenarios, including theoretical hostile encounters with Council species. When questioned, Chief Engineer David Parker stated this was standard procedure for any responsible organization. Vrel decided to address this directly. He invited Captain Foster to his office for an informal discussion. Rebecca arrived with her usual easy confidence, carrying 2 cups of the human coffee she had introduced him to. Thought you might need this, she said with a smile. You look tired. Thank you. Vrel accepted the cup, appreciating the gesture even as he prepared difficult questions. Captain Foster, I must ask you about something our analysts have discovered. Sure, shoot, Rebecca said, then paused. Sorry, human expression. It means go ahead. We have found that your ship maintains detailed defense protocols against potential Council species aggression. This concerns us. We are peaceful. Why would you need such plans? Rebecca looked genuinely confused. It's just basic contingency planning. We have protocols for asteroid strikes, system failures, disease outbreaks, and yes, potential hostile encounters. It doesn't mean we expect any of those things to happen. It means we're prepared if they do. But we have been at peace for 10,000 years, Vrel said gently. That's wonderful, Rebecca replied. Truly. But Ambassador, respectfully, you've been at peace because everyone chose peace. What happens if someone chooses differently? Hope is not a strategy. The phrase stuck with Vrel. Hope is not a strategy. It was so fundamentally different from how the council thought. Another incident occurred during a cultural exchange dinner. Human Ambassador Mitchell was explaining a concept called chess to Elder Merrick. It was a strategy game involving warfare between two kingdoms. Fascinating, Merrick said. And children learn this game? Often yes, James replied. It teaches strategic thinking, patience, and planning ahead. My daughter learned when she was 6. You teach children warfare strategy at age 6? Council member Thriss asked, tentacles quivering with concern. James paused, clearly realizing the misunderstanding. It's not real warfare. It's abstract strategy. No one gets hurt. It's about thinking through consequences and planning moves ahead. But the framework is combat, Thriss pressed. The framework is competition, James corrected gently. Humans are competitive by nature. We compete in sports, games, business, even conversation. We debate ideas passionately. We argue for the joy of testing logic against logic. It doesn't mean we want actual conflict. Vrel watched the exchange carefully. The humans seemed genuinely puzzled by the council's concerns. To them, their behavior was normal and harmless. But to species that had evolved in peaceful environments, it looked like a civilization constantly preparing for war. Later that night, Vrel met privately with Elder Merrick and several senior council members. What do you think? Merrick asked. Vrel chose his words carefully. I think they are sincere about wanting peace. But I also think they have not abandoned their capacity for violence. They have simply channeled it into other forms. Sports, games, entertainment, contingency planning. They maintain their warrior skills while pursuing peace. Is that dangerous? Representative Quinn asked. I do not know, Vrel admitted. They have followed every rule perfectly. They have been respectful and cooperative. But there is something underneath, a readiness, a preparedness for conflict that never quite goes away. Merrick nodded slowly. We will continue to observe. Perhaps we are simply seeing cultural differences. Perhaps their way of maintaining peace is different from ours. Perhaps, Vrel agreed, but uncertainty gnawed at him. The council watched and waited, hoping their trust was not misplaced. They thought collectively, we would rather they didn't maintain such focus on conflict, but perhaps it truly is harmless. Time would reveal the truth. The alarm screamed through Council Station Harmony at 0347 Galactic Standard Time. Ambassador Vrel jolted awake, his 4 eyes snapping open in sequence. Emergency alerts flashed red across every screen in his quarters. Mining Colony Theta 7 was under attack. Vrel rushed to the command center, still fastening his diplomatic robes. The massive viewing screens showed chaos. Theta 7, a peaceful mining operation housing 15,000 civilians from 12 different species, was burning. Who? Vrel demanded as he entered. Krelthic's supremacy, replied Station Commander Oren, his voice shaking. A radical faction. They've been silent for decades. We thought they had disbanded. On the screens, Krelthic's warships pounded the defenseless colony with weapons fire. The colony had no shields, no weapons, no defense of any kind. No one in the galaxy needed such things. Until now. Casualty reports? Vrel asked, though he dreaded the answer. Unknown. Communications are disrupted. Estimates suggest thousands already dead. Vrel felt his world tilting. This could not be happening. The galaxy had not seen warfare in 10,000 years. The very concept seemed impossible, like gravity suddenly reversing. Within the hour, the Galactic Council convened in emergency session. The chamber that had once buzzed with nervous energy about humanity now filled with pure panic. Elder Merrick called for order, but his ancient voice wavered. The Krelthics have attacked Theta 7. They are demanding we recognize their territorial claims and acknowledge their supremacy. They say the Council has grown weak and spineless. Send them a formal protest, suggested Representative Quinn. Make it clear their actions violate every galactic law. Impose economic sanctions, added Council Member Thriss. Cut off all trade with Krelthic's territories. Freeze their council voting rights, another voice called out. Vrel listened to the suggestions with growing despair. Words. Economic pressure. Diplomatic maneuvers. These were the tools of a peaceful galaxy facing an enemy that had rejected peace entirely. A new report flashed on the screens. The Krelthics had destroyed Theta 7's main habitat dome. Atmospheric breach confirmed. The death toll was climbing into the thousands. They are ignoring our messages, Commander Oren reported. They are proceeding to the secondary colonies. They say this is only the beginning. The council chamber erupted into panicked conversation. Some species had never even conceived of violence on this scale. They had no framework for understanding it, let alone responding to it. Ambassador James Mitchell stood quietly in the human observation section. Vrel noticed him whispering urgently to Captain Foster and Dr. Wright. The three humans looked grim but not panicked. Vrel felt a chill run through him. James requested permission to address the council. Elder Merrick, desperate for any input, granted it immediately. The human ambassador walked to the central podium with measured steps. His face was calm, but his eyes held something Vrel had not seen before. Something cold and determined. Honored council members, James began, his voice cutting through the chaos. I have been listening to your proposals. Formal protests. Economic sanctions. Diplomatic isolation. These are good tools for maintaining peace among those who want peace. He paused, letting his words sink in. But the Krelthics have demonstrated they do not want peace. They want conquest. They have murdered thousands of innocents and promised to murder more. With respect, words will not stop them. Sanctions will not save the next colony they attack. What do you suggest, Ambassador Mitchell? Elder Merrick asked, though something in his voice suggested he already knew the answer. Grant us permission to intervene militarily, James said simply. We can stop them. The chamber fell absolutely silent. Military intervention. The words sounded alien, dangerous, almost obscene in this hall of peace. You mean violence, Representative Quinn said, her voice barely a whisper. You mean warfare. I mean defense of the innocent, James corrected. I mean stopping murderers from murdering. The Krelthics have made a choice. They have chosen violence. We can either let them continue or we can stop them. Council member Thriss spoke up, tentacles trembling. We invited you here because you agreed to peace. You signed our treaties. You promised to follow our ways. And we have, James replied firmly. Every single day we have chosen peace. We would prefer to continue choosing peace. We would rather not show you what we are capable of. But those civilians on Theta 7 did not choose to be attacked. Those children did not choose to die. Someone must protect them. Vrel studied the human carefully. This was what the cultural reports had hinted at. This readiness. This capacity that had always been there, just waiting beneath the surface. Elder Merrick closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them he looked older, tired. What would your intervention entail? We stop the Krelthics' forces, James said. Quickly. Decisively. We rescue any surviving civilians. We capture the Krelthics' leadership for your war crimes tribunals. We follow every rule of warfare outlined in your galactic conventions. You have rules of warfare? Thriss asked, shocked. We have very detailed rules of warfare, Captain Foster spoke up from the observation area. We know exactly how to fight. We also know exactly how to fight honorably. Another alert flashed. The Krelthics fleet was moving toward Colony Epsilon 12. 20,000 civilians. Mostly families. The attack would begin in 6 hours. Elder Merrick looked around the chamber at the frightened faces of species who had forgotten what danger truly meant. Then he looked at the humans who had never forgotten. Do what you must, Merrick said quietly. But follow our laws. No unnecessary casualties. No collateral damage. No excessive force. James Mitchell nodded once, sharply. Understood. We will handle this according to your rules and ours. The Krelthics will be stopped. The civilians will be protected. As the humans left the chamber, Vrel turned to Elder Merrick. What have we done? Merrick watched the humans disappear through the exit. We have unleashed something we do not understand. I pray they are as controlled as they claim. And if they are not? Merrick had no answer. The galaxy was about to discover what humanity meant by restraint. The human fleet arrived 41 hours after receiving authorization. 7 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Theta system, and the Galactic Council watched through every available sensor and camera feed. Ambassador Vrel stood in the Council Observation Center alongside Elder Merrick and dozens of other species representatives. They had never witnessed military action before. Most did not even have words in their languages for what they were about to see. The human ships looked different now. The Endeavor and its sister vessels had seemed peaceful before, with smooth hulls and welcoming lights. Now those hulls had shifted, revealing weapon ports and armor plating. The ships moved in tight formation, precise and purposeful. They transformed their ships, Analyst Prin whispered beside Vrel. The weapons were always there. Hidden. Waiting. Captain Rebecca Foster's voice came through the communication channel. Council observation, this is Human Fleet Actual. We have arrived at Theta 7. Krelthix forces detected. Beginning rescue operations. The Krelthix fleet outnumbered the humans nearly 3-1. 21 warships against 7. The Krelthix commander broadcast on all frequencies, his voice dripping with arrogance. Foolish humans. You barely learned to fly between stars and now you challenge us? We have prepared for this moment for decades. We will crush you, then continue our rightful conquest of this weak galaxy. Rebecca's response was calm, almost cold. Krelthix forces, you have committed acts of war against innocent civilians. Surrender now and you will be treated according to galactic law. Refuse and we will stop you by force. You have 60 seconds to decide. The Krelthix commander laughed. We choose violence, little humans. Let us see what your death world has taught you. What happened next lasted only 6 hours, but the Galactic Council would remember it for centuries. The Krelthix attacked first, unleashing volleys of plasma fire that lit up space like angry stars. The human ships moved. Vrel had never seen anything like it. They did not scatter or flee. They flowed like water, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be, sliding through weapon fire with centimeters to spare. The first human counterattack was surgical. The Endeavor fired a single precise shot that destroyed a Krelthix weapons array without damaging the rest of the ship. Then another shot disabled their engines. The enemy vessel went dark, floating helplessly. Target neutralized, minimal damage, Rebecca reported. Crew alive and unharmed. Moving to next target. The pattern repeated across the battlefield. The humans did not spray fire wildly. Each shot had a purpose. Weapons disabled. Engines destroyed. Command centers isolated. The Krelthix ships were being systematically dismantled piece by piece. They are not trying to kill, Elder Merrick observed quietly. They are trying to stop. Is there a difference? Asked Representative Quinn. For humans, apparently yes, Vrel replied, unable to look away from the screens. 3 Krelthix ships tried to flee toward Colony Epsilon 12, perhaps hoping to use civilians as hostages. 2 human fighters detached from the main fleet and intercepted them within minutes. The precision was frightening. They disabled the ship's engines with shots that left the rest of the vessels intact. Commander William Drake's voice came through on a separate channel. Colony Epsilon 12, this is Human Defense Force. 3 hostile vessels neutralized. You are safe. Repeat, you are safe. The cheers from the colony echoed through the communication systems. 20,000 people had just learned they would not die today. Back at Theta 7, human shuttles were landing in the ruined sections of the colony. Search and rescue teams moved through the wreckage with practiced efficiency. They pulled survivors from collapsed structures, provided medical aid and evacuated the wounded. Dr. Thomas Wright coordinated the medical response. We have portable medical units with compatible equipment for 12 council species. Trauma teams standing by. Every survivor will receive care. The Krelthix flagship made one last desperate move. It powered up some kind of massive weapon, targeting the human command ship directly. The weapon glowed with enough energy to destroy a planet. Captain Foster did not hesitate. 3 human ships concentrated fire on the flagship's weapon array. The precision was absolute. The weapon exploded before it could fire, but the explosion was contained to that one section. The rest of the flagship remained intact. Krelthix flagship disabled, Rebecca reported. Crew survival estimated at 97%. The Krelthix commander's voice returned to the communications channel, but the arrogance was gone. How? We outnumbered you. We prepared for decades. How did you defeat us so easily? There was a long pause before Rebecca answered. When she did, her voice was not triumphant. It was sad. Because we have been practicing warfare for our entire existence, she said quietly. We know every trick, every tactic, every strategy. We have fought thousands of wars and learned from every single one. We became very, very good at something we desperately wish we did not need to be good at. In the Council Observation Center, silence reigned. The battle was over. The humans had won with minimal casualties on both sides. Not a single civilian had been harmed during the engagement. Every rule of warfare had been followed. But the council members felt no relief, only a creeping understanding of what they had witnessed. They were holding back, Analyst Prin said, voice shaking. That entire battle they were holding back. They could have destroyed every Krelthix ship in minutes, but they chose not to. Vrel felt cold. What are they capable of at full strength? No one wanted to answer that question. On the screens, human ships were helping Krelthix survivors evacuate their damaged vessels. Medical teams treated wounded enemies with the same care as wounded allies. Security forces arrested the Krelthix leadership not with violence but with calm, professional efficiency. Commander Drake's final report was brief and matter-of-fact. All hostile forces neutralized. All war criminals secured for tribunal. Theta, 7 survivors evacuated to safety. Epsilon 12 secure. Mission complete. 0 civilian casualties. Returning to Council Station. Elder Merrick sat down heavily in his chair. He suddenly looked every one of his many centuries. They are not warriors, he said softly. Warriors love battle. These humans? They approached it like a terrible job that had to be done. Efficiently. Professionally. Without joy. Is that better or worse? Quinn asked. Merrick watched the human fleet begin rescue operations for both sides of the conflict. I think it is more frightening. They have turned warfare into a science. They have perfected something terrible and then chosen not to use it unless absolutely necessary. Vrel thought about all the cultural reports. The competitive sports. The strategic games. The martial arts. The contingency planning. It had all been training. Not preparation for war but maintenance of skills they hoped never to need. We are fortunate, Vrel said quietly, that they chose our side. The observation center agreed in silence as they watched humanity demonstrate the difference between capacity for violence and desire for it. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. 3 weeks after the battle, the Galactic Council chamber was packed to capacity. Every species had sent representatives. The galleries overflowed with observers. Everyone wanted to hear what would happen next. The Krelthix war criminals sat in detention cells awaiting trial. The survivors of Theta, 7 were recovering in medical facilities. The rescued colonies had sent messages of gratitude that filled databases. But the Council faced a larger question: what to do about humanity? Ambassador Vrel had spent those 3 weeks reviewing every moment of the battle, every decision the humans made, every shot they fired. The precision haunted him. The restraint troubled him more. Elder Merrick called the session to order. The ancient leader looked different now. The events had aged him, but also given him a certain clarity that had been missing before. We gather to discuss the future of human participation in the Galactic Council, Merrick began. But first, Ambassador Mitchell has requested to address us. The floor is yours, Ambassador. James Mitchell walked to the central podium. He carried no notes, no prepared speech. He simply stood there for a moment, looking at the hundreds of species gathered before him. Honored members, James began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. I want to tell you about Earth. Not the statistics or the classifications. The truth. He paused, gathering his thoughts. We come from a world that tried very hard to kill us. Every day was a fight for survival. Predators hunted us. Weather destroyed our homes. Disease killed our children. We were not the strongest or the fastest. We survived because we learned to think, to plan, to work together. The chamber listened in complete silence. But working together meant competing with other human groups. We fought over resources, territory, beliefs. We became very good at fighting. Too good. We built weapons that could end all life on our planet. We came very close to using them. James's expression grew somber. Then something changed. We looked at what we had created and we were terrified. Not of others, but of ourselves. We realized we had a choice. We could continue down the path of violence until we destroyed ourselves, or we could choose something different. He looked around the chamber, meeting eyes with as many representatives as he could. We chose peace. Not because we forgot how to fight. Not because we became weak. We chose peace because we understood the true cost of war. Every human learns our history. Every child sees the images of our wars, our mistakes, our failures. We remember so we never forget what we are capable of. Representative Quinn raised a tentacle. Then why maintain your military skills? Why keep the weapons? Why practice for war if you have chosen peace? James smiled sadly. Because peace only works when everyone chooses it. The Krelthix reminded us of that. We would rather not fight. We would rather spend our time exploring, creating, learning. But we cannot choose peace for others. We can only choose it for ourselves and protect those who cannot protect themselves. Council member Thriss spoke up. Your restraint during the battle was noted. You could have destroyed the Krelthic's fleet entirely. Why did you not? Because unnecessary death serves no purpose, James replied simply. Those Krelthic soldiers were following orders. Many probably believed they were doing the right thing. They were wrong, but being wrong does not deserve death. We stopped the threat. That was enough. Dr. Thomas Wright stood from the human delegation area. If I may add something, Elder Merrick? Merrick nodded permission. Thomas approached the podium. I am a scientist, not a soldier. But I have studied violence across species for 20 years. Here is what I learned. Species evolve violence for survival, but intelligence allows choice. We humans chose to master violence so completely that we would never need to use it carelessly. Every weapon system has safeguards. Every soldier trains in restraint. Every protocol prioritizes civilian safety. We did not abandon our capacity for violence. We weaponized our capacity for restraint. The phrase hung in the air. Weaponized restraint. Elder Merrick stood slowly. The Council has deliberated on this matter extensively. We have reviewed every action humanity took during the crisis. We have analyzed your methods, your decisions, your results. He paused, and Vrel noticed something unexpected in the Elder's expression. Respect. Humanity has shown us something we had forgotten, Merrick continued. Peace is not simply the absence of conflict. True peace requires the strength to defend it. For 10,000 years, we have been fortunate that no one challenged our peace. But we were not prepared. We had no answer when violence returned. Merrick looked directly at James Mitchell. Therefore, the Council proposes the following. Humanity will become the first peacekeeping force of the Galactic Council. You will respond to threats against member species. You will protect the innocent. You will uphold galactic law. But you will do so under Council oversight, following our principles of minimal force and maximum preservation of life. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species voiced immediate support. Others expressed concern. But when the vote was called, it passed with an overwhelming majority. James accepted with a simple nod. We are honored by your trust. We will not abuse it. Captain Rebecca Foster was promoted to Commander of Galactic Peacekeeping Forces. Commander William Drake became her second. Within months, human ships began patrolling trade routes and protecting vulnerable colonies. But something else changed too. The Council established new protocols named the Human Protocols. Every species was encouraged to maintain defensive capabilities. Not for conquest but for protection. Hope for peace but prepare for challenges to that peace. Vrel found himself in a quiet corridor with Elder Merrick weeks later, watching human ships depart on patrol. Do you think we made the right choice? Vrel asked. Merrick watched the ships disappear into faster-than-light travel. I think we finally understand what we invited into the galaxy. Not conquerors. Not warriors. Guardians. They are dangerous, yes. But dangerous in service of peace. I am grateful they prefer peace, Vrel admitted. As am I, Merrick agreed. We would rather they did not need to fight. But I am more grateful that when fighting is necessary, they do it with such careful restraint. They have taught us an old truth we had forgotten. The strongest beings are not those who fight first, but those who fight only when all other options are exhausted. Throughout the galaxy, species began re-evaluating their assumptions about peace and strength. Humans became both feared and trusted. Their ships were welcomed at every station, their presence a guarantee of safety. The phrase became common across Council space, speak softly and carry a big stick. It was an old human saying, but now it became galactic wisdom. Humanity had shown the galaxy that true peace was not maintained by weakness or ignorance of violence, but by the deliberate choice to reject violence while maintaining the capability to stop those who chose otherwise. The lesson was learned. The peace held stronger than ever before. And the galaxy slept better knowing that someone was watching, someone who understood both the terrible necessity and the profound responsibility of force, and who chose restraint every single day. The humans had kept their promise. They sought peace. And when peace was threatened, they defended it with the same fierce determination their ancestors had once used for survival. They would rather not fight. But they would rather die than let innocents suffer. That made all the difference.